Hey, Andy, Jamie, what's going on?
Hi, Scott. Thank you for the intro. Hello, Jamie.
Hey, Andy. Hey, Scott. Hello, everybody out there in the audience. Welcome
Or-
to the webinar.
yes. Thank you guys for taking the time to join us today on a hot summer day here in Texas. Anyway, I'm not sure about where you guys are at, but hello, Mike. Hello, Waleed, Marguerite. Yeah, I got a good crowd, and more are coming in. So let's get started. And before we do, let's go over the disclaimer here. And let me get my questions panel. You guys bear with me. I'm on the road again on my laptop. So uh, keep in mind, guys, if you're here for the first time, guys, we want you to know that this is for educational purposes only. We're going to be sharing some ideas. We're going to talk about some stocks and some setups and the market in general, but nothing should be construed as investment advice if that's what you're looking for. You want to seek out one of those people who are holding that license to give you that advice. Okay, that may be a stockbroker, a registered advisor, but that is not our role here today. All right, before we get on to the good stuff, let's talk about, well, this is good stuff anyway. It's our 5-star support, education, and training here. We have many resources, guys. We understand the software can be overwhelming when you first pull it up. But once you start to work with it, you're going to find out that, man, spend a couple of hours and you get better and better with the configurations and the learning how to use all the tools. But you're not alone when you do that. We're here to help you, and we provide webinars throughout the week in the same time slot, Monday through Thursday. Great place to come in here, and I know we're providing some content and we have an agenda, but we also are open to questions. So just feel free to ask any questions in that questions panel, and we'll get to it. And then we got the traders room. We got Barry, who is our moderator, does a great job of keeping the room tame. A lot of great traders in there. And keep in mind, guys, this is free for everyone, even if you're not subscribed to Trade Ideas. We feel very confident that there's a good chance that you will subscribe after being in that room for a while and see all the people who are using the alerts and profiting in the marketplace. But once again, it's free. And then on Friday, tomorrow at 11 Eastern time, we'll have our Friday support session. And this thing has actually been a pretty good crowds in the summer, Jamie. It hadn't been bad. More people are finding it's a great little resource where you guys can come and ask any questions. We're scheduled for 3 hours. This summer it has been running kind of, people have been leaving early doing their summer things, but and we've been running about 2 hours, but as long as the questions keep coming, we'll keep answering them. So once again, Friday support session tomorrow at 11. All right, and let's not forget about TI University and what this is. It's a 4-part course. We start with the basics 101 and we graduate each day until the advanced 401, which Jamie did today. And this is each day is about an hour long curriculum, and then we open up for questions at the end of that. If you cannot make it, and we realize some people are not full-time traders, this is available on our YouTube channel. Okay, just find Trade Ideas on YouTube and go to the playlist and you'll see TI University in there. All right, Brokerage Plus. This is getting more and more popular every day. More people are using this little module, I like to call it. And if you want more information, just go to trade-ideas.com/beta. And I assume that /beta still works. Maybe I need to remove this slide. I'm gonna have to look into that when I get off. But anyway, you go to our website, you'll be able to find the Brokerage Plus stuff. All right, the agenda for today, we're going to do the market recap. Nice bounce, man. What a nice bounce in the market. We'll have to see. Time will tell if that was the bottom. But very impressive nonetheless. We'll talk about that. Holly recap. Jamie will take over here and go over some trades. Holly had a decent day today, a good day. I like them. I think many strategies would have done okay today in the market, but we're partially fond of Holly, so we'll definitely talk about some of the trades in that. Jamie will, like I said, He'll be the one discussing that. And then something happened to me today, and I am going to just kind of give you a little wisdom in the marketplace when you're position trading, okay? It's going to be focusing on how you are to play the daily charts. Don't get caught up in the intraday price action. This is going to be a really good segment. I think it will help those you guys who are position traders. I like to use the term position traders. We talk swing trading, that's kind of the same thing. I really like the position trading better, and I'll discuss that as we get to the topic. And then I'm going to visit an old top list that I probably did over 2 years ago called Rangefinder 500. Just because I haven't, I think it's a really nice tool for scanning, doing nightly scans and looking for opportunity. And I'm going to pop that back up, and we'll talk about that for a while. But for right now, let me back out of here and let's bring up the market to see what happened today. And Jamie, just interrupt me at any time if there's a question or anything out there. Like I said, I have to, looks like we're doing pretty good.
No worries, Andy. I got my eyes on.
All right, thanks, buddy. All right. So we like to focus on the spiders here because it's probably one of the best. Well, my control, there it goes. Zoom. All right, let's zoom in a little bit here and let's talk about what we're looking at. Man, there's been some volatility for sure in the last couple of weeks. Guys, we broke down, we mentioned after these two bars right here that just showed, you know, pretty, now let's call it what it was. It was massive selling and two major red bars in a row. You don't see that very often, especially over the last 10 to 11 years in this market, and then followed up by another one right at its 50, and then lo and behold, we get a huge gap down, major sell-off with a kind of a bounce there at the end. And then put in an inside bar, which we normally do after a big move, a big red candle like that. We had an inside kind of a bigger body than you would expect nonetheless. Following day, we tried to break out of that, came right back down, stayed within that little red bar there, and then today we had a nice little gap and go. Now, where did it go to? That's the key. It got above its 50, okay? I'm sure a lot of shorts probably entered a trade right there. You think about it, if the market's turning, that might be an ideal spot to take a chance on a fade, expecting it to stall out and maybe roll over at some point, but we did close above it, but not by much. And then we got our downward sloping 10 period moving average, and above that, our downward sloping 20 period moving average now. So, you know, it's not one of those things. I've seen this over and over too many times in the marketplace to say, you know, we're going to stop here and roll back over because this market has a way of surprising you and just, you know, I shouldn't say surprise you. After 10 years of it, I would not be surprised if maybe here in the next, sometimes next week, we may be flirting around up here with highs again. I say that kind of tongue in cheek. Honestly, I would be surprised anytime I see downside volume like this to just totally be, you know, reversed in a matter of days. It should surprise you, but like I said, it doesn't sometimes. So I think this is the key. These are the things you have to watch out for. We have the downward sloping 10. We could run into that tomorrow, very likely. And then we have our 20 there, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow is Friday, and if you remember, people might have this gap down right here over the weekend at the back of their mind. Okay, there's been a lot of macro concerns out there, a lot of FX issues to deal with. So yeah, I would be strong if we had, I'd be surprised if we did have a real strong day tomorrow, especially like I said, these are human emotions, these candles. And after this huge gap down over the weekend and that massive sell-off, it's going to be in the back of a lot of traders' minds. So keep that in mind. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for the. I would not blame somebody if they started, putting on maybe some fades right here on some stocks or maybe even some ETFs, but I wouldn't go all in just because the way this market has been over the last several years. Let's take a look at the Qs real quick. And even stronger, okay, stronger today and closed well above their 50 and probably a date with the fast line tomorrow. Diamonds are forever, and look at there, more weakness, not still below all its 50 period moving average. So let's check the IWM, the one that just seems like it never wants to go. And kind of looks very much like the Dow there, a nice move today, but still below major three. Did get it back above its 200-day, which it spent 3 days below, but still below all these moving averages. So that's still kind of scary looking there. All right, Jamie, I think I'm just about done with the market recap here. Anything you want to add to that?
Nope, it's been a crazy few days, and we'll just have to see what happens tomorrow. To think that at this rate, well, if this rate were to be sustained, it's funny because Sean put up a poll the other day on Twitter. Hey, how much longer until we see potential new highs? And the choices were, a month, a week, and get out of here, whatever. And I'm like. The funny thing is it could be back up there in a week, but the week is over. We've got about halfway. I'd say we're looking right about at the halfway point, just eyeballing that right there. But tomorrow's going to be a very, well, tomorrow will tell the tale. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it will be Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we see some sideways action, maybe setting up for something next week. Gosh, I would really, after seeing what happened this one, like I said, that's got to be in the back of a lot of traders' mind. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So today, needless to say, Holly is just chocked full of profits and risk on as well. So if you're ready, I'll go ahead and grab it here and we'll
and
take a little peek.
Definitely you can take your time and go through some trades.
Okay, hopefully you can see, yeah.
I'm sorry, Jamie. I had it on mute.
You see in my screen? Okay,
I
just
sure
want to
can.
make sure. Looking at the right place here. So still good? I just made an adjustment.
Went away. There we go. No,
okay,
it's tiny. Hold on. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. I see it, but when you came back, it was probably just my go-to.
Okay, Waleed says he sees it, and hopefully
I see it for sure.
I don't know why it would be.
It went tiny on it. Yeah, it went tiny on me.
Okay, good to go. Okay, perfecto. All right, so wow, the interesting thing here is if we just pull the SPY back up over here on the daily, the past couple of days haven't been that fantastic for Holly because we had the down swoosh, then we had a couple of sideways. Well, not really sideways, but you know what I'm talking about here. Market finding its feet, finding that bottom. So when you're dealing with a statistical system, well, it takes a little time to catch up, and it seemed to catch up pretty quickly this time because we did have the gap, not a huge gap. So the smaller the gap, the better, and just a slow grind up all day. I mean, if you got long at the open, you never really had to sweat it here, with the exception of this little wick here if you're using that low of the day stop. But in any case, once we got past the first 30 minutes, it was just boom, 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 up, up, up. And Holly was putting on the trades today, 28, 39 trades total, and quite the impressive point total. These numbers are reflective of trading 100 share lots. So we could just say 4, that's pushing on 7 right there with a little left over. Maybe just a hair shy of 9 full points on that 38 trades. So that's good in anybody's book. And the interesting thing today is that usually when we're pointing out risk on, so we'll just pull up A here real quick. Interestingly enough, we're not going to see a whole lot of stocks, but typically when we look at a risk on and one that really moved, that Holly produced in what we could call, quote unquote, a normal market, whatever that is these days, where we haven't had this volatility. You know, what we notice is the ones that keep on going typically have higher volume associated with them. Higher volume in the form of relative volume being not 1, but a lot of the times 50% above, showing relative volume of 2, maybe even 3, sometimes higher. But on all of these today, we're going to notice, you know, there might be a few above 1, but the majority of them, we're just getting drug along for the ride, right? This blotter actually reminds me of before the initial correction last October. You know, we saw this blotter a lot because the market was trending up, or a blotter of this nature where the point total was high because the market was trending. And, you know, even though trading is never easy, even in a trending market, when you're a statistically weighted system, you can post some pretty impressive results. So that's what it kind of reminds me of today, is when we were trending before the correction in October. Today is very similar to that. So we're going to see some good moves, but not unnecessarily a whole lot of volume here. And when we take into consideration the major tracking ETFs, I mean, that's quite a beefy finish for the SPY. You know, we'll see it high a lot of the times in the first hour or two, and it'll slowly gravitate to 1 before the session is closed, or maybe even a little bit lower, but not today. So up move on some decent volume. That's always what we like to see. So let's take a look at some of these risk on, risk off spreads. And for those of you who might be wondering, I've got the all trades blotter sorted by risk on here. Now, biggest winner on the block today, GPN, but not a whole lot of risk on money there. About 14, let's see, 80, yeah, 14 cents between $1.78. Holly just happened to peg this one perfectly with a timed exit. Got out, you know, made an entry right here and got out right here at the end of the shaded area. So we could have stayed in a little bit longer and maybe got another 10, 12, 14 cents if you timed it perfectly. But, you know, just a great winner there and not a whole lot of risk on spread. Now, interestingly enough, look at that max profit total there. That trade was, when it was up here, up $2.41, right? So pretty impressive nonetheless. Now, here is one that's classic, A. So check out the volume level on A. Finished the day slightly under normal volume at 0.87 relative volume. Nice entry signal here, pretty much at the low of the day. And what I really like about this one too is just wicking right against that 10-period fast line when Holly calls it, or it had just wicked. So you're getting a pretty good fill there off close to the low of the day. Of course, you got Holly on your side with that statistical probability, and then just a little sideways action before slowly grinding higher here. Now, timed exit, A, on support today, we were looking at, well, a couple different versions in here, but both of them were hour-long hold times. So as this thing just kind of grinded sideways there, Holly did what she was programmed to do, you know, gonna punch out. It's what I'm programmed to do after that hour, and gets her 9 cents there. Now, of course, we as humans can look and go, man, ever since we got into it, just been slowly grinding up, hugging that fast line like a glove. My eyes would be drawn to that initial high there, because if this thing keeps working, that little area right here where I've drawn the line would be a great place to leverage that trade, actually tack on a little bit more size, whether you went 50% more, doubled it, all personal preferences here. But as we can see, giving us the signal early, we get the rise up to the prior high, we get the break, and whether you just held the trade or leveraged it right here, it was a great trade to be in, grinding up slowly all day with the market, keeping its head well above that fast line there and pretty much into the close. So even though Holly didn't kill it on her risk off mode, we as traders could have opted to stay in and gotten paid quite handsomely on this one. Big difference there, $1.14 on the table between 9 and $1.23 there. So Really good risk on example there as well. Now this one, pretty much going to be the same song and dance with the exception of the reason that Holly got out. All right. Nice entry signal right here. Get a little pop up, gravitate back down. And we're still up here. Gravitate back down to the flat line. No biggie. These things do this time and time again. But just hugging that entry line like a glove. What do we notice? We got the 10 period acting good as well. But we get a little sideways action here for 30 minutes, not including this 15-minute entry bar. We got 2 here. So for 30 minutes, we're up. We're approaching back down here. So, you know, even though this, if I stretched it out from here to here, this looks more conducive to a profit save exit. But those are my human eyes. To Holly, this little 30-minute period here where we were up and started going sideways, she's like, yeah, better go ahead and pull the plug on this one. And that's exactly what she did in the form of a profit save. But same song and dance here. We get that new high pop as soon as we get into it. Then we gravitate sideways for a while, all while staying above that 10 period line. Look what happens later on in the day. Boom, boom, boom. We crack that level right there. Once again, a nice clean range break where you could have easily stuck with the position or leveraged it here and just some nice pain-free slow grind higher the rest of the day for BAH. So very similar to what we saw in A there, except for the exit signal. Now this one, even more of a profit save, actually a profit save in the form of a flat, right? And she didn't wait near as long on this one. Entry signal here, and then pretty much after the next 15-minute bar closes, we get the profit save. Now let's go ahead and take a peek at the smaller time frame, see if that jumps out at us a little bit more here. Okay, a little bit clearer here. We're looking at the 15-minute candles previously. Now we're looking at 5-minute candles. What happens? She gets into it, same song and dance. We get up, we get down. We're just kind of pushing along sideways here. And once an entry is made, a sideways action is typically when you're going to see Holly execute a reduced risk or a profit save. All right, just like she's done for these past couple. So CL, 5-minute bar is a little bit easier to see, but we get that sideways action. After she exits, you know, at first she's like, you know, equate this to a human trader, right? Getting a little nervous here. You know what? I'm not going to let this thing go against me. Boom. We think we're real smart. Sits down here for a little bit, comes right back up, and then we're in the money again. So it did get a little bleedy. Oh, if it got that bleedy on the 15-minute, we'll just pop back over here. But no, see on the 15-minute, which is really what we recommend watching the fast line on, sure, we got out of the money a little bit, but remember, that's what our hard stop is for. Get a little bleedy, but man, it adhered to it. And then what do we notice here? If I just crank this line up a little bit more, you know, we hit a high while we were in it, we retraced, took a little breather here, adhering to the fast line. Once again, you usually don't see this many of these in one session, where they go sideways and then they break and you have the opportunity to add to that position. But here we've had, what, 2, 3, probably gonna have 4 in a row where this same pattern emerges. And how many times have you regular attendees seen this exact scenario play out day in, day out? Only caveat today is that a lot more were presenting themselves just due to the nature of the market. Once again, no big volume here, finishing the day at 0.85. So if we just go down the list again, GPN, big winner, 1.43. A, 0.87 on the relative volume. BAH, slightly over, but nothing to write home about. CL, not even up to 1. And the last one that we just looked at here, CL was the last one, 0.85, which brings us to USCR, which actually did finish the day showing 2 on relative volume. A little bit later in the day, nothing wrong with that. I love this because, once again, what are we really close to here? Number one, look at that action right there. I mean, that's some nice action leading up to the signal, because it lets us know the stock is strong, but it's not expending a whole lot of energy. right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 consecutive, if you call that little doji or whatever that is there, upside down doji, a green bar. But, you know, if it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars this size, you know, might give a little pause. But the first one to start out, man, that wick, just getting right off that 50-day, then not a whole lot of energy expenditure. And then leading up to this signal here, 15, 30 minutes later, we're pecking new highs, grind sideways for a little bit, and then continue on up. So, you know, once again, these types of patterns on Holly, usually you're lucky if you get 1 or 2 a day that set up like this, but today, because of the nature of the market, we had quite a few, all right? So what do we got there? 3 cents, an extra 51 cents on the table in USCR here. And let me just check the time, Andy. I don't want to eat up all your time here. There's just so many of these today. And then we got Lynn coming in right at average, maybe 3/100ths of a point or percent, 0.03 shy of 1 here. Yeah, not quite as pretty as all of the others, but let's see here, 49 cents on the table because she got a little fidgety here and flatted the trade right here after getting into it here. Let it come back down, flatted it, and then using a little patience, a regression back down to that 10 period, and then boom, a nice opportunity to exit here. Or whether you said, you know what, I'm holding everything until the close, pretty much the same price, right? You would have had to sit a little pain, but no stop out on the hard-coded stop. So, you know, man, if every day were like this, we wouldn't be sitting here, Andy. But a good update today, plenty of risk-on opportunity from Holly today, and just a stupendous performance because with a point total approaching 9, you know, for those of you who might have auto-traded Holly today and let it run, it was a nice day to do that. Of course, they're not always like that, but today was one of those days where there was lots of green on the Holly blotter. You know what? Let's just go ahead, take a look at the losers here. I'm just going to stretch my blotter out here. We'll just kind of, you know, look at the ratio here. Yeah, we've got our red just like normal. Man, winners are just a lot bigger than the losers today, pure and simple. And what do we have? We had 1, 2 shorts. Kind of, let's see, what do we make on this one? 16 cents. So the shorts were just kind of a null event. Only 2 of them today. And boy, I will tell you this. The small stocks performed very well out of the gate today as well. So it really doesn't matter what you were trading today. These guys were up a lot initially, and they all backed off before, you know, the time was up. But we had some nice percentage gainers in the smaller dollar stocks today too. But all in all, just a pretty darn good performance for Holly, especially in these market conditions. All right, good job, Jamie. Well, anything I left out there, Andy?
No, you covered it, yeah, very thoroughly. No, that was a good breakdown.
Yeah, and I see the question there Stephen asked about the back test period for Holly, and yeah, she usually does the full period, which is that 64 trading days. Yeah. All right, Andy, here it comes.
Shoot her back to me. All right, got eyes on me?
Yep, we can see you.
All right. So you said something interesting when you first you know, went over and did your Holly recap. You talked about the SPY, and you said I think you used the term the SPY's gapped up and pretty much a stress-free, you know, move higher, and that was the case. Well, it's interesting because, guys, I'm going to point out something to you that used to not be the case when Jamie and I started trading back in the 90s, where stocks would always move. I mean, you could count on, especially the big cap stocks, you know, moving with the market, and you don't get that a lot of times for whatever reason. Well, I know the reason, because of all the high frequency trading, the algos in there, and hate to use the term manipulation, but whatever you want to call it, you know, there's definitely some games, you know, being played, whatever you want to call it, you know, there's definitely some games, you know, being played, gamemanship in the market. So what I want to talk about today is if you're position trading. In other words, if you're taking a position, let's take a look. Now remember what we're looking at here in the SPYs. Opened up and pretty much, you know, headed up, you know, pretty much all day. And you guys know that I've been in Snap for a while, and I've been holding a position in it now for several days. You know, started buying it, I think back here on this day, but I trade in and out of it a lot during the day, but I've always kind of held my core position, and I've added a little bit yesterday. Well, today, you know, the market opens up. I'm thinking, oh boy, you know, here we go. You know, I'm going to add to my Snap, and it's going to have a great move. Well, look what Snap was doing all morning as the SPYs were just going highs, hitting new high after new high. And what can happen a lot of time, and even I almost found myself, you know, getting caught up to it, because what happened today is I bought some more on a pullback here because everything was lining up. Okay, you filled the gap, went a little bit, actually a little bit lower, had a nice little, lower, had a nice little spinning top here today. Said, boy, if it gets above this high, I'm going to add some more. So I added some more on the pullback here, probably I think a 1605 or something like that. So I got a pretty decent position, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here? Well, once again, the SPYs open up all day. Just, you know, let's take a look at 11 o'clock here. I think it's right around there. Well, anyway, you can kind of see my screen here. So I'm sitting in this thing and I'm thinking, oh boy. And I had to remind myself, I said, Andy, you're in this, you know, for a swing trade. You know, make sure, you know, you keep that core position and don't, you know, don't bail out just because this thing was teetering near lows and the market's going at highs. This kind of trading used to not happen. And what I'm saying is, guys, if you are position trading or swing trading, you cannot let yourself, it's real easy to talk yourself in if you're watching, especially if you're watching level 2, but even the price action, you got the market going to highs. This thing just broke its, you know, fast line, we like to call it, and it's teetering near lows. And I know how traders think. They're thinking, oh boy, relative weakness, this thing's getting new lows. I'm pounding out, and it's easy to do. And what I want to tell you, if you are trading a stock based upon a daily chart, you need to trade off that daily chart. And if everything is still intact and your reason for, you know, getting in it has not changed, you need to, you know, don't get caught up in this price action during the intraday, because it's really easy to. Now I'll tell you what happened at first too. I mean, you got Facebook opened up, gapped up, slammed down. Twitter, for some reason, the social media stocks opened up, really got jammed down, and it actually didn't do all that well today. Finished barely up on the day, but luckily, boy, I was watching it here and I was saying, I really do not want this thing to go to lows. That's going to look ugly. But even if it did, I probably would have still maintained, you know, my core position since I was swing trading this. Luckily, yeah, I stayed in it and ended up adding and having a really, you know, good day on this stock, and I'm still, you know, still in some. So it's just very important, because I know how you know, how easy it is to get caught up in, especially if you know, I encourage you, try not to watch level 2. But even in the intraday price action, it's so easy to tell, gosh, the market's going, this thing's rolling over, just broke it fast line. It looks like it's going to go to lows. I'm bailing out of this thing. It's real easy to do that, but I just want to reiterate, if you are buying a stock off the daily, you need to trade off the daily. Don't get caught up in the intraday action. Because how frustrating would it have been had I just bailed out and just moved on and then looked back later in the day and missed this huge move. Yes, Waleed, it is true. It is true. So anyway, and a lot of swing traders or position traders, they will not even look at the intraday action, and they will see how the candle closed. In other words, they will not bail out even if this thing goes to lows, because it could go to lows, sell off another 20 or 30 cents, and then popped up. So they trade off the, you know, the closing. I don't get that crazy about it. Or, you know, sometimes I think if it's obvious that there's big volume and it's selling off. You know, I don't blame somebody for that, but if it's just, you know, intraday and really not going anywhere, even though it's not following with the market, I promise you, for whatever reason, I know people would say, oh, there's sellers in it, you know, this thing's not going, and just bail out. But try to stick with your trades and your reason for entering a trade and why you're in it, you know, and trade off the daily. And honestly, even if I'm day trading, a lot of times I'll trade off the daily, which I don't do very often. All right, let's move on to the next topic after I get a swig of water here. And it's an old top list that I made called Rangefinder 500. Okay, so let's take a look. You're not going to find many filters in this, if any, and you don't see any. There's no filters. What I'm looking at here is the S&P 500. Now, this is my S&P 500. We do have one in the existing list. You can find it in there. I think it's S&P 500, this one right here. That may be a little bit outdated. That's why I kind of created my own, but don't worry about it. Even if you don't like the one in here, you can always come in here and use a market cap. Let me show you what you can do. A lot of times I'll use this one. Just use a market cap. All right, and you can just add filter and just put whatever market cap you want. Maybe you only want stocks that are over 3 billion. Just make sure you count and get the right amount of zeros in there, okay? I have a watch list, so I really don't need that, but if you want to use a market cap, that'll work fine too. Might be even better because you might catch some stuff that may not be on the S&P 500. All right, so what is this all about? All right, so when I put this together, it's a top list, so there's no alerts, okay? And all it's going to do is follow every stock on my list, okay? And it's going to give me what's called the position in ranges. I'm looking at position in ranges all the way from 60 minutes, okay? I don't really care about 5, 10, 15 minute and all that, but it's 60 minutes, and that's an intraday range, and you can see it there. It goes from 5-day, 10-day, 20-day, yearly range, and a lifetime range. So what I like about this, whatever range you're kind of looking for, you can just click on any column and it'll sort by that range. I think. There it goes. All right, so let's say you want to find stocks that are closing in maybe on a 20-day high. You can click on it and see where that stock is closing on a 20-day high. You can see this HRL, it's on a clear 20-day high, but you look at lifetime, yearly range, it's right in the middle, position your lifetime range right in the middle. So I know if I zoom out on this chart, okay, this, you can see there, nice little wedge. You can find stuff like this, and a lot of times in my homework, I'll just come through and I'll look at these and I'll see nice little areas, and I'll just sit here and put price alerts in them. Okay, doesn't mean I'm going to take the trade if the price alert goes off. It just means I'm looking for areas where there might be a nice little range break, okay, and some nice action to go along with it. Now, what I really like to do is to find these. Let's do position in the year range. All right. So a lot of times, let me just do this right here. Make this a little bit bigger. Zoom in a little bit. All right, so a lot of times what you can do is find these stocks that are positioned in year range that are close to the year range, but also close to their 52-week range. All right, so this is what I love about this. You can see this one right here. This is one of those possibility turnaround candidates. I can see because position in lifetime range, this thing has been beaten up, but look at the position in year range. So I know if I click on this one right here, okay, it's going to have a strong, yearly chart, but if I go back and do like a weekly, you have a stock that's been kind of, beaten up, and lifetime range is way off, okay? So it's not too far from its yearly, but anyway, probably not a great example. I just grabbed one. But let's take a look at some of these ones that are holding up well on both the yearly and the 52-week range. I've also added a score column in this one too that I didn't have last time when I did this. All right, so let's take a look at Microsoft here. And a lot of these are going to look very similar to the ones that you find on the score. Okay, so Microsoft is good, is close to a 52-week high. Probably need to put an earnings date in here so when I'm doing my homework, I can find the earnings date. Let's see if we can find another, but this Yum brand. Okay, this Yum brand. Okay, there you go. You have it. It's close to a 52-week high. But look at this. It looks like possibility the day after earnings was 4.5 days or 4 days ago, 5 days ago. You had a gap up, and then you had it slide down pretty hard. So in other words, you got a big topping wick. Well, today you had the same thing. And I'm just going to kind of give you the process that goes through my head, because I look over at this Yum and I see an 83 comp score. Okay, so that's telling me it's like, it's strong. The chart is strong, but the score should be better if it was really set up fundamentally. Okay, and I'm just going to show you some things so you guys can notice some of the fundamentals that may be behind this. Sorry, I'm on this desktop. All right, so I'm sorry, my laptop here. So if I look over here, you can see, look at the debt on this one. Look at the cash, 252 million, and it's got 10 billion in debt. Okay, that's kind of a little red flag there. I know the stock's near 52-week highs and actually not far from lifetime highs, but it's struggling up here. A couple of topping wicks. I'd be wary of this one. Let me see something else. I thought I saw something else in here earlier. Oh yeah, this is quarterly revenue growth. Yeah, not real strong. It's actually got declining revenue growth. Even though the chart is sitting there flirting around with all-time highs, these are kind of red flags that may keep me out of something like that. Let's take a look at some more. Oh, how come it's MasterCard. This one looks really strong. 93 score. Okay, great day today. Back above. Unlike the spiders and the Qs, it's back above all its moving averages. This one looks like it has some potential there. Maybe if you're watching this one. I'm not one to really buy highs. A lot of time, this is why I look for these ones that are kind of off their 52-week highs. You notice in this market, I have talked about, guys. Now, if it's after earnings, like some of the stocks you saw today that had a gap and go on strong earnings, that's a different story. But as I showed you, it seems like every time we get near all-time highs, it just there's no umph behind it. And so when it comes to buying all-time high stocks for me, unless there's a catalyst like earnings, I really kind of stay away. I don't like buying all-time highs. I mean, the last thing I want to do is to have MasterCard bump up here, put in like 5 big green candles and then chase it way up here. That's not the game you want to play. It'll work sometimes, but boy, you can really end up holding the bag. Let's take a look at some more here. Thought I saw some better ones. So what I would recommend on these right here, instead of setting alerts on these all-time highs, maybe be ones to watch if you're looking for maybe a position trade. Maybe if these things kind of hold up, go sideways for a bit, and then these averages kind of nestle up. Especially these ones that are all above their moving averages. It's not really an alert that I like to set all-time highs in. But I wanted to bring this to your attention because it can be a really good, just something to scan around, if you're looking for whatever price range you're looking at. And you don't have to look for sometimes looking at these 20 days highs, you can find these ones like I just showed you where they're potentially about to break out of a nice little range here. Let me see what I can find. Oh, shoot, I gotta go. Guys, you're gonna have to bear with me.
Looks like Andy had to answer the door there. Give him a couple of seconds. I'm sure he'll be right back.
Really sorry about that, guys. All right. Well, to wrap it up, once again, I'll share this. Let me go ahead and save and share it for you. This can be really good for, you can still hear me, can't you, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
All righty, just making sure. All right, rangefinder. And I'm dropping it into the chat window. And once again, I think where I left off is a lot of times you can find some of these ones in like getting near the high of their 20-day that may be on the verge of possibly turning around, especially if you see them nowhere near their all-time high. Or let's take a look at this KR real quick. Yep, there's one that's potentially trying to break a trend there. Had a nice volume bar, potential go pause go here. It's something I would mark up right here. So you can find little gems like that that may be on the verge of turning around. Let's take a look, see when it had earnings. Where's my earnings date? Must have already had them. Not seeing any. I'm not sure what that volume. Must have been some news because it was nice volume. Obviously not recent. I'm not sure what's going on there. But Kroger, man, he's not not crazy about Kroger. But it'd be a scalp if I traded that. Probably not one I want to hold on for a long time. But anyway, we got any questions out there, Jamie? I'm about wrapping it up here.
I was just talking to Jeff, had a comment about, do you use level 2 all the time? And I'm like, well, back in the day when level 2 meant something, yeah, we made livings off of watching level 2. Problem is now, whatever you see can instantly disappear, right? It doesn't have to be traded against. So level 2 is just, in my opinion, just another way for the exchanges to generate more fees. I mean, it can give you a little bit of an idea of where you might get filled, but then again, you just can't really put too much faith in a level 2. It doesn't matter if it's a 50,000 share bid or offer that you think you can rest on as your safety net like we used to do in the old days. But nowadays it can just change. It can just not be there, and then all of a sudden things half a point lower. So I wouldn't put too much stock in level 2.
And there's so many shenanigans that go on. I mean, you see all this action in level 2, and if you're watching the prints these days, there's hardly anything, on time and sales going off, but you have all this action. I'll give a good example. When I was bidding Snap, I had a bid in there, and to add some more, and the thing just was driving down, and I was like 5 cents lower than the current bid, and it just drove down really fast. And I'm like, at this on the bid finally, and it clears out every level on the bid, which is probably just market makers backing away like they do. And like I'm the only one there, no one's hitting me. I'm going like, oh wow, you look like this thing was falling out of bed, but there was nothing going on. And I sit there and it's like I'm the only one there, and nobody's hitting me. And then finally a few other guys kind of peeked their head in, and it's just a joke. It really is.
Yeah, it's like musical chairs all the time.
It really is. I mean, finally it hit me when 2 cents lower and then popped back up. It's really a facade. All right, yeah, Jeff, but I don't I don't act scalp anymore. I did that for a very long time, and of course I used it more back in the day, but now I'm just getting in. I'm not worried about 1 or 2 cents here or there. Jeff says, I panic out at times, still learn. Yeah, it's easy. And Jeff, if you'll get to where you'll slow it down, try to get out of the smaller time frames and extend. My biggest problem is I can stomach the action like in Snap today, but my problem is and it's always has been, is I'll get a really good position, a big position, and be in it right, and then finally it goes, and I'm selling, yeah, of course I always hold on to my core position, but I'm like, finally breaks out, and why am I selling, but it's just, I think a lot of that action just gets you accustomed, it brainwashes you, into like just, it's going to turn back around and go down. So yeah, you good traders, I mean, they're really, really, yeah, you just, if you're playing the daily chart and you finally get that move and goes through highs, you just hold on to all of it. But I'm always been one to, if I got a good size position, I'm taking it all the way up. Nothing worse than seeing, having nice profits and seeing them reverse and go back flat on your down negative. All right. Well, it looks like we got through today, and hope I passed on a little knowledge there. Thank you, Waleed. Thank you, Mike. I'll bring Scott in, and Scott will walk us out. And bear with me while I move all this stuff out of the way. And Scott?
Yeah, a couple of things. We have a test drive starting on Monday, so if you're not signed up yet and you're either a standard subscriber or you do not yet have a subscription, here's your chance to try out premium for 5 trading days. If you sign up before the close on Friday, you get access all weekend and the 5 trading days next week, so you'll be able to prepare. So go to trade-ideas.com/test drive, just get the details, click through to the sign up page, buy your pass. The $8.99 covers the 5 days of extra support. It also covers exchange fees and some other incidentals that get you into there. So trade-ideas.com/test drive is the place to go, so you can try out the AIs, you can try out Brokerage Plus, all that good stuff. We've got some new ebooks. Both Andy and Jamie contributed chapters to them, so do pick them up. They're free. Trade-ideas.com/setup is the page to go to get them. We've got them organized by topic, and there's 3 books, 2 chapters each. Should be on your desktop. Read them and reference them. We've got a podcast that we release pretty much every week. Trade Ideas Podcast is the term to search for in whatever application you use to listen to podcasts on. So hit the subscribe button and you'll be ready to catch the next one that comes out. There's a new code for August, Sun and Fun, all caps, saves 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas. So if you decide you want to become a subscriber today, use that and save. And if you decide you want to get an upgrade to get the extra stuff today, go for it. You can use that one from after you log in on the main page and hit the Change My Subscription Plan button. Any questions, email info@trade-ideas.com. That goes into our help desk and gets routed to the appropriate team member to quickly answer your question. So that is the best place to send all your questions. You can follow Jamie on Twitter at QuantBot. Our Steve Gomez is at Today Trader. We've also got at Trade Ideas. Facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro is the Facebook page to follow and share what we post with your friends. Thanks, Andy and Jamie. Thank you all for attending, and we'll get the recording up later on tonight or tomorrow. Have a good one.
Thank you. And Mark, you will receive a link, I believe, tomorrow, about an hour after the market closes. That's when you'll get access to the software. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.
See you later. Bye-bye.